My fiancé's childhood sweetheart made a deal with a cosmic exchange system. She said she envied the prestigious education and worldly experience my family's money had bought me. She traded for my intelligence. What she didn't know was that I had an intellectual disability. My entire glittering resume was a fiction fabricated by my parents. Thanks to her, I could finally be a normal person. Zoe, do you really want to marry me? The handsome, well-built man sat on the sofa, his eyes soft as he reached out to stroke my cheek. I nodded, continuing to play with the doll in my hands. Yes. I like Leo. Leo let out a sneer and lightly patted my cheek a couple of times. Good. Then I'll marry you. He leaned back, sinking into the plush sofa, crossing his legs and squinting as he sized me up. Who would have thought? The great heiress of the Shen family is actually a dummy. An Ivy League grad who puts on art exhibitions? You rich people are fucking masters of deception. But your parents are even dumber. Such a huge family fortune. And all they managed to produce was one disabled daughter. Soon enough, all the money, the houses, everything, it'll all be mine. Your family has been working their asses off for decades just for me, ha ha ha. Leo roared with laughter. I looked up at him confused. Leo, what are you laughing at? He patted my head and kept laughing. Zoe, that doll of yours looks ridiculous. Does it? I looked down at the doll in my hands and couldn't help but giggle along with him. I liked Leo more than anyone. He worked at my dad's company. At the last company gala, I went with my parents to the hotel, and my mom kept reminding me not to talk to anyone, to just sit and eat, and not to eat too much. No one else dared to come over and say hello to me. Only Leo walked right up to me with a grin. Miss Shen, do you like magic? He turned a glass of wine into a rose. He was the most amazing person I had ever seen. I looked up at him with adoration. He was still sunk into the sofa, arms crossed, and now he propped his feet on my shoulders. Zoe, rub my feet, he said with a smirk. Okay. I reached out, but suddenly there was a knock on the door. Leo's expression changed instantly. He jerked his legs off my shoulders, smoothly knelt on the floor, and picked up my doll. Zoe, Mr. Leo, Mr. Shen is back. He wants to see you both in the study. Okay, Mrs. Chen, we'll be right there. Leo held up the doll. Zoe and I were just playing. Mrs. Chen smiled. You're so patient, Mr. Leo. No wonder Zoe likes you so much. Once we were in the study, my dad, as usual, gently asked what I had done and what I had played with all day. When he heard I had been happily playing with dolls with Leo, he nodded. Good. Leo, come over here. Leo, Zoe is the apple of my eye. You know her situation is unique. I'm asking you, even with her condition, are you still willing to marry her? My dad's tone was severe, but Leo gently and firmly took my hand. I am. Mr. Shen, I graduated from college 5 years ago. I've seen how cruel and calculating the world can be, and it's made me realize just how precious Zoe's innocence and kindness are. When I'm with her, I feel completely relaxed and at ease. I want to protect her forever. My dad and Leo talked for a long time. Leo's answers were smooth and flawless, and my dad's expression grew more and more satisfied. Finally, my dad took a thick stack of documents from his desk and showed them to Leo. These are the company shares and trusts under my wife's and my names. After we're gone, they'll all go to Zoe. After the engagement, you'll need to sign this document waiving your right to the inheritance. Leo pushed the documents back without even glancing at them. Mr. Shen, as long as I can be with Zoe, I don't need anything else. I don't care about any of it. My dad smiled, genuinely this time. When you have your first child, I'll give you 3% of the company's stock as a reward. Have more children after that, and raise them to be healthy and strong. I'll give you a reward for every single one. The moment we left the study, Leo's face changed. He scowled and threw my doll hard onto the floor. Damn it. That old bastard. It's bad enough he's watching my every move, but now he dares to treat me like some kind of stud horse. I gasped and lunged to pick up my doll. Leo, you'll hurt Candy. Leo grabbed me by the hair. Hurt your ass. I am so sick of you, you fucking idiot. I started to cry. Realizing what he'd done, Leo quickly tried to comfort me. Zoe's a good girl, okay? Don't tell Daddy, all right? This is our secret little game. I shook my head, sobbing. I hate this game. To calm me down, Leo took me to an ice cream parlor. Halfway through, his friend Tina showed up. Tina was Leo's childhood friend. They grew up together and were extremely close. I never liked Tina, just like she never liked me. But Leo said it was rude to just say you don't like someone. So I mostly ignored her and didn't talk to her much, just kept my head down and ate my ice cream in small bites. When Leo got up to go to the restroom, Tina immediately shot me a vicious glare. Zoe Shin, what are you so proud of? You think you're really better than me? So what if you went to a fancy school, can ski and golf, play the violin and paint? Let me tell you, all of that was just bought with money. If I had your family's money, I could do 1,000,000 times better. You lazy rich kids who just coast through life have no idea how hard I've worked. I didn't understand what she was saying, so I just stared at her blankly. After a moment, I felt it would be rude not to respond, so I ventured a reply. Do I need to? That made Tina even angrier. I'm nothing to you, am I? Not even worthy of being a rival? I don't even register, is that it? Just then, Leo came back and frantically pulled Tina away. What nonsense are you spouting? Zoe, wait here for me for a minute. Leo dragged Tina outside to talk. I glanced at the ice cream on the table. It was already starting to melt. No, I wanted Leo to have the best ice cream. I picked up the glass bowl and followed them. Leo had Tina pinned against a wall in the alley. Why are you saying all that to Zoe Shen? If you dare screw things up for me again, believe me, I'll fucking slap you. Tina wrapped her arms around Leo's waist and leaned her face in close. Go on, slap me, you heartless bastard. When you first said you were going to date Zoe Shen and scam some money off her, I didn't object. But now you're really going to marry her? What does that make me? What about all the years I've put in? Leo kissed her on the cheek, placating her. Honey, your designer bags, your jewelry, where do you think I got them? All from Zoe. You like that stuff? Let me tell you, that's nothing. The Shuns only have one daughter. Once I marry her and her old man kicks the bucket, everything will be ours. You have no idea how much money her family really has. Seriously, you could buy 10 new bags a day and not even make a dent. Tina was ecstatic. Really? You better not be lying. The two of them were wrapped in a passionate embrace. I quickly covered my eyes. Mom said that when stuff like this comes on TV, I'm not supposed to watch. The ice cream had completely melted by the time Leo came back. I told him indignantly that I didn't like Tina. Okay, if you don't like her, we'll see less of her from now on. We just happened to run into her at the mall today. Leo did a few more magic tricks to cheer me up. Then he took me home. That night, I had a strange dream. In the dream, both Tina and I were standing in a thick fog. A thing called a system asked Tina if she wanted to make a trade with me. Tina nodded immediately. I want her wealth. System. Are you sure? The Shin family's assets are all in her parents' names. Zoe Shin only has a few $1,000,000 in her spending account. Are you sure you want to trade for that? A reminder. This is a precious opportunity, and you can only use it once. Tina hesitated, then cursed. Rich people are so cheap. System. You can trade for something she personally possesses. Her beauty, her body, her intelligence, or her lifespan. Tina's eyes lit up. Then let's trade intelligence. Zoe Shin's parents are both Ivy League grads, and she has a master's degree from overseas. She's had art exhibitions and is supposedly amazing at equestrian and fencing. With her intelligence and my ambition, Leo and I will definitely be able to take over the entire Shin family fortune. Ha ha. As Tina cackled with glee, I watched her in a daze. A mechanical voice asked me if I was willing to accept Tina's trade. Intelligence? Mom had sighed so many times, saying, if only Zoe were just a little bit smarter. I wanted to be smart, too. I nodded and chose to accept. When I opened my eyes the next day, everything felt different. It was as if a fog in my mind had lifted, and the world was exceptionally clear. I got dressed and went downstairs. Leo, dressed in a sharp suit, was waiting in the living room. Zoe, let's go. I've got a few friends I want you to meet. We're going to play some golf. I didn't say anything. Leo took my hand and led me toward the garage, talking on the phone as we walked. TCH, you guys don't believe me? The great Shin heiress? Just wait, I'll make her do whatever I say. You guys are in for a show. I glanced at Leo, a little stunned. My old memories were hazy, like looking at the world from underwater. But in my impression, Leo was the person I liked most. He was gentle and considerate, patiently playing with me. He was also very handsome. My dad had already arranged our engagement, with a grand ceremony planned at a hotel next week. But hearing what he was saying now, something felt very wrong. I held back my questions and watched his expressions on the way. The golf course was just across from our gated community. Leo was driving my family's supercar, wearing sunglasses, and didn't forget to remind me. Zoe, I'm introducing you to a few of my friends. Just like always, don't talk to them, understand? I know. My parents had always told me to speak as little as possible. Growing up, I seemed to be lost in my own world, with very little contact with outsiders. But that was before. I had a feeling that, after that dream, I was different now. We arrived at Crestview Country Club quickly. In the parking lot, 3 or 4 young men in sportswear were waiting. When they saw Leo get out of the car, they walked over, circling it with exaggerated shouts. Holy shit, the legendary Lamborghini. How much did this set you back? Leo, looking smug, took off his sunglasses and flicked his tongue against his back teeth before waving me over. Zoe, these are my friends. Say hello to everyone. I waved at the group, and they all started laughing. We wouldn't dare make our sister-in-law greet us first. Hey Zoe, just call me Zach. We're all Leo's childhood buddies. Leo put his arm around my shoulder and shot Zach a look. Zach, ahem, where's your girlfriend? Weren't you bringing her today? Zach's face lit up in mock realization, and he looked around. She was just here. Where'd she go? Bro, wait a sec, I'll go find her. A moment later, Zach returned, pulling a girl along while whispering to her. Sis, why'd you run off? You two better take it easy today. Don't act like the heiress is blind. The girl was about my age, with a high ponytail, a sporty skirt, and flawless makeup. It was none other than Tina, whom I'd just seen yesterday. I remembered I didn't like Tina at all. I froze for a second, then looked at Leo with displeasure. Why is she here? Leo pretended to be surprised, too. When did you and Tina get together? You dog. He patted my shoulder and lowered his voice. Zoe, don't be mad. I know you don't like Tina, and I don't like her either. But she's here as Zach's girlfriend, so we have to show Zach some respect, right? Zoe's the best. Without giving me a chance to argue, Leo grabbed our bags from the car and pushed me toward the clubhouse, boasting to his friends as we walked. The membership here is $168,000 a year. Top tier VIP. If you guys ever want to come play, just drop my name. $168,000? Holy crap, for 1 year. Damn Leo, you're the man. Oh wait, I mean Boss Leo. From this day on, you're my real brother. The VIP area had a private lounge. While Leo changed into his sportswear in the locker, his friends wandered around, opening the fridge for drinks and beer. Zach popped a bottle of champagne, took a sip, and winced. This place is insane. I heard there's a buffet for lunch, too? Can we really come here whenever we want? Won't Zoe get mad? They all snuck glances at me. Leo sneered. She won't. Zoe does whatever I say. She'd never get mad at me. Bullshit, hahaha. You're full of it, Leo. The group burst out laughing. Leo, seeing their disbelief, was instantly annoyed. He had brought his friends out today specifically to show off, and he couldn't stand them questioning him. Leo cleared his throat and tilted his chin at me smugly. Zoe, it's the first time you're meeting my friends. As their sister-in-law. Shouldn't you give your little brothers a gift? I think that purse you're holding is pretty nice. Why don't you give it to Tina? As a congratulatory gift for her and Zach. I had just grabbed the purse from my closet on a whim. It was a classic model from a major designer, worth over $20,000. In the past, Leo had used all sorts of excuses, saying his aunt liked one, his mom liked another, his grandma wanted one, to wheedle countless bags from me. I always gave in, which made him bolder and more dismissive of me over time. Tina's face lit up with surprise and greed as she stared at the bag next to me. Really? This bag is for me. It's so beautiful. Before I could say a word, Tina lunged forward, snatched the bag from my hand, and hugged it gleefully. She caressed it lovingly as Leo leaned in close to her. Like it? How are you going to thank me? Tina giggled, then suddenly threw her arms around Leo's neck and planted several kisses on his face. Everyone was stunned. They looked at Leo, then back at me, their faces a mixture of embarrassment and confusion. Zach, blushing, tried to explain. Zoe, Tina's just really enthusiastic. We all grew up together, so she's close with Leo, ha. It doesn't mean anything. Leo first glanced at me nervously. When he saw I wasn't angry, he immediately relaxed. He pushed Tina away, sat back on the sofa, and laughed. Look at you all so tense. Zoe is very generous. She'd never get upset over something so small. The others chimed in. That's a true heiress for you. Zoe's so classy. That's our Leo, so much charm. Zach nodded along. Look at Leo's face just now, you were scared to death, weren't you? Ha, Zoe is so magnanimous. Everyone was laughing, but Leo's face suddenly darkened. If you don't know how to talk, then shut the fuck up. Who was scared to death? You think I need to be afraid of her? Leo pointed a finger at me and scoffed. I know you all talk behind my back, calling me a simp, wondering how I managed to land Zoe Shen. Well, let me tell you, there is a simp here, but it sure as hell isn't me. Don't let the heiress title fool you. If I tell her to go east, she wouldn't dare go west. If you don't believe me, just watch. Leo leaned back on the sofa, crossing his legs just like he always did, and then crooked a finger at me. Zoe, come over here and change my shoes for me. Change his shoes? Flashes of memory suddenly shot through my mind. Me, kneeling on the floor, massaging his legs and feet, while he smirked and rubbed his foot on my face. A wave of nausea washed over me. What a disgusting piece of shit. Seeing me sit motionless on the sofa, Leo's tone hardened. Come here. On your knees. Zoe, don't make me angry. My face was a mask as I stared at him. Leo stared back, his chin raised, his expression grim and menacing. The atmosphere instantly turned to ice. Leo's friends were all incredibly awkward and rushed forward to mediate. Come on, Leo, let it go. Don't joke like that. Yeah, man, she's the Shun family heiress. How could she change your shoes, let alone kneel? Leo, stop being crazy. I'm being crazy? Leo slammed his hand on the armrest. Zoe Shen, I fucking told you to get over here. I stood up from the sofa. Leo's smug expression returned. He sneered, motioning for the others to watch him. See, women just need to be trained. Arg. Before he could finish, I lifted my leg and stomped my foot right on his face. The force of the kick sent him flipping backward off the shoe bench with a pained scream. Fuck. Zoe Shen, you idiot, you dare hit me. Leo pushed himself up, clutching the shoe print on his face, his eyes wide with a mixture of rage and disbelief. That's right, I hit you, you fucking moron. Tui. Who the hell do you think you are, acting like you're hot shit? I followed up with a left-handed slap and a right hook. Still not satisfied, I grabbed a teacup from the coffee table and flung the hot tea at his head. Leo was stunned, frozen in place, his face turning shades of red and white. He looked at me as if he'd seen a ghost. Zoe Shen, were you faking it? No, that's impossible. You couldn't have faked that. You. Leo narrowed his eyes. Zoe, what TV show did you learn this from? With tea leaves clinging to his hair, Leo became the butt of his friend's laughter. Zach was slapping his thigh, clutching his stomach. Ha, Leo, what was that? Getting your ass kicked for no reason. Is that your idea of being a man? Humiliated and furious, Leo pulled his phone out of his pocket. Like hell I'd lie to you. Who knows what's gotten into her today? He opened his photo gallery. I glanced over and saw it was packed with photos and videos of the two of us in private. There were clips of me washing his feet, giving him back rubs, a blissful smile on my face, acting like an obedient servant. The laughter died down. His friends exchanged looks. Whoa, he wasn't kidding. All right, you guys get out first. I have something to discuss with Zoe Shen alone. Leo didn't want his friends to discover my true state. It made his bragging more impressive. Zach and the others obediently closed the door and left, leaving only Tina, who sat on the floor foolishly clutching the purse, refusing to leave. Leo gave a wicked smile and wiped the tea leaves from his face with his thumb. Zoe, I don't like this game. No more playing, okay? A game? My eyes lit up as a plan formed in my mind. With all these photos and videos, who knew if Leo had other backups? The best thing to do now was to keep playing dumb, stay by his side, and get everything back. Yeah. I watched a kung fu movie yesterday. The hero was so cool. I clapped my hands with a smile, then launched a kick right between Leo's legs. Zoe loves this game. Leo's face went pale. He grimaced, doubling over and clutching his groin as I started kicking his back. Flying dragon kick. As I rained blows on him, Tina, who had been watching in a daze, suddenly screamed, "Stop hitting Leo." I grabbed her by the hair and slapped her twice. "Then I'll hit you. Give me back my purse." I snatched the bag away. Tina flailed her arms and legs, throwing her head back and wailing. "The mean lady took my purse. The mean lady." Tina threw a tantrum on the floor, crying and pulling at her own hair. Standing next to Leo, I took the opportunity to land a few more blows on him. Hiya! Iron fist. Leo's head was spinning. He had no idea why I had suddenly turned into this. He went to grab the thrashing Tina, shouting, "She's an idiot, but are you crazy too?" Tina ignored him, still screaming at the top of her lungs. My purse, my purse." Leo was at his wits' end. Fine, fine. Zoe, I'll call the driver to take you home first." After calling the driver, Leo tossed his phone aside to comfort Tina. I casually walked over, stealthily picked up the phone, and slipped it into my pocket before feigning a stomachache and heading into the nearby restroom. I quickly scanned his photo album and cloud storage. Then I opened his messaging app. The first pinned contact made my skin crawl. Carol Shun. Carol was my cousin, the daughter of my uncle, Sam Shun. My grandfather passed away early. My dad, being 10 years older than my uncle, was almost like a father to him, paying for his tuition and living expenses with money he earned from part-time jobs. Later, when my dad founded the Shun Corporation, my uncle became a vice president. The brothers had a decent relationship, but my grandmother was a constant source of trouble. She despised me for being a girl and told my dad hundreds of times to leave his fortune to my uncle instead of wasting it on an outsider, like me. After hearing it so many times, my uncle started taking it to heart. He joked several times about my dad writing a will. "Bro, you can give Zoe mountains of gold, but a dummy like her can't protect it. What's the use of finding her a husband? Look at the news these days, men murdering their wives for insurance money, it's endless. If you ask me, family is the most reliable. As long as I have food on my table, I'll never let Zoe go hungry. Let my son watch over her fortune in the future. We're connected by blood. Isn't that more trustworthy than an outsider?" No matter what my uncle said, my dad refused. A husband might not be reliable, but her children will be. I'm not that old. I can still see Zoe get married, have kids, and raise them to be capable adults. Then I'll hand everything over to my grandkids. They can protect Zoe, so you won't have to trouble yourselves. My dad was firm, and eventually, my uncle stopped bringing it up. But had they ever really given up on getting the fortune? And what was the connection between Leo and Carol? With trembling hands, I tapped on Carol's profile picture. "Carol, send me some more videos of that idiot. Why is it always her washing your feet and giving you massages? I'm bored. Can't you try something new? Strip her clothes off. She may be a dummy, but she's a pretty one. You're a grown man. Aren't you even a little tempted? Leo, my lady, you think I don't want to? It's all because of your dear uncle's good upbringing. Zoe is extremely guarded about that stuff. The last time I tried to touch her, she started bawling and ran out to find Mr. Shun. Scared the hell out of me. I scrolled up. There were countless videos and photos, along with money transfers from Carol to Leo. Carol constantly reminded Leo how rich our family was and how much my parents doted on me, before adding a joke. Seen that new movie about the husband who kills his wife? You men are so ruthless. You wouldn't be thinking of doing something like that in the future, would you? Leo, she's a dummy. I wouldn't need to. Carol, true. Once my uncle and aunt are gone, all the money will belong to that idiot. And since she listens to you so much, it'll basically be yours. Haha, killing her is pointless. You might as well kill my uncle. My pupils constricted. and my heart skipped a beat. Was Carol goading Leo into murdering my parents? In a flash of insight, I understood her plan. My dad was strict. After we got married, Leo would be constrained and unable to spend lavishly. Eventually, Leo would get desperate and harm my parents. Carol would then immediately report him to the police. With Leo arrested, I would be the only one left in my immediate family, and the Shen fortune would be theirs for the taking. They could keep me around for a few years if they wanted. If I became a hassle, they could just get rid of me later, and all the assets would naturally fall to them. It was a brilliant scheme. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. All she had to do was introduce Leo to me and occasionally fan the flames, then sit back and reap the rewards. My hands trembled, and my eyes grew red. If I hadn't suddenly become lucid, would I have lost my parents in a few years? I backed out of the chat with Carol and checked his conversation with Tina. Their exchanges were vile. Tina was constantly pressuring him to get money from me, and Leo would impatiently brush her off. What's your hurry? Once we're married, everything the Shuns have will be ours. It's not that simple. Her parents are super strict. You don't even have a car to your name yet, and you talk about buying me one? You're just full of empty promises. Just be patient. That old bastard Samson won't be on top for much longer. Zoe, are you done yet? The driver's here. Leo's impatient voice came from outside the door. I splashed some water on my face, calmly opened the door, and tossed the phone onto the sofa when he wasn't looking. I'm ready, Leo. Leo had his arm around Tina. His face was covered in lipstick stains, and his collar was crooked. He nodded impatiently. Go on home by yourself then. Tell your dad I won't be coming for dinner tonight. Okay. I looked at him, unable to suppress the rage boiling inside me. I lunged forward, grabbed his hair, and gave him 2 more hard slaps. Hiya, Thunderpalm. This game is so fun. Zoe wants to play again next time. Before Leo could react, I grabbed my bag and skipped away, leaving him cursing behind me. Damn it, you stupid idiot. Just wait and see how I deal with you next time. When I got back to the Shun house, I was surprised to see several cars parked at the gate. Mrs. Chun was just coming out to take out the trash, and was shocked to see my disheveled state. Zoe, what happened to you? Your hair is such a mess. Where's Mr. Leo? Why didn't he come back with you? I was too embarrassed to say I'd been in a fight, so I mumbled an excuse and looked curiously toward the house. Mrs. Chun, do we have guests? Mrs. Chun straightened my hair, while curling her lip in disdain. It's your uncle's family. Mr. Shin asked them to come discuss your engagement ceremony next week. Oh, is Cousin Carol here too? Mrs. Chen's hands paused. She glanced around furtively and patted my arm. That cousin of yours is no good, Zoe. You should stay away from her, you hear? Those two, Carol and her brother, they've been stealing your things since they were kids. That princess dress you got for your 10th birthday? Carol ripped it. She said, why waste so much money on a dummy? This is all our family's money. A kid wouldn't say something like that unless their parents put them up to it. Now they act all high and mighty. I just can't stand the sight of them. Mrs. Chun grumbled indignantly. I smiled and gave her a hug. I know everything. They won't get the chance. Thank you, Mrs. Chun. She looked at me gratified. Zoe is such a good girl. I wandered around the garden for a bit, and spotted a fresh pile of dog poop that hadn't been cleaned up. I grabbed a mop, smeared it all over the poop, and then carried it into the house. I was worried Zoe would be deceived, so I had someone do a background check. This Leo really is a decent kid. Clean family history, and he's ambitious. Once they're married and have a few kids, big brother, you won't have to worry about Zoe anymore. My uncle's family was sitting in the living room, relentlessly praising Leo. My parents listened happily, their faces beaming with satisfaction. I sneered. Leo's father was a doctor, and his mother seemed honest and simple. Carol must have gone to great lengths to find someone with that kind of background to lower my dad's guard. Oh, Zoe's back. Zoe, come here. You're getting engaged next week. Look at this bracelet your cousin picked out for you. Do you like it? I smiled back. I love it. I love Cousin Carol the most. Cousin Carol. Zoe knows how to mop the floor now. I'm really good at it. Oh, your hair is dirty. Let me sweep it for you. I charged forward with the mop and swung it right at Carol's face. Dog poop smeared across her face, the stench filling the air. Carol froze for a second before letting out a blood-curdling scream. My uncle panicked. What are you doing, you idiot? Let go. I giggled. My face twisted in a dark grin, and flailed my arms and legs. Uncle, your clothes are dirty too. I swung the mop again, slamming it into my uncle's chest and pushing him backward. Hiya, sword dance. Wave style. I shouted as I whacked him with the mop. My aunt and younger cousin screamed and rushed over to pull me off. I struggled wildly, running circles around the coffee table and landing a hit whenever I could. Soon, all four of them were covered in dog poop. Then I started screaming. Why is everyone so dirty? Zoe will give you a bath. With that, I ran into the bathroom, dunked the mop in the toilet, and came back out. The waterlogged mop was heavy. I twirled around and slammed it into Carol's face. Arg. Carol fell backward onto the floor as if she'd been slapped. The room was in chaos. My uncle, furious, grabbed the ashtray from the coffee table and hurled it at me. I'll kill you, you damn idiot. I dodged to the side. The crystal ashtray shattered on the floor, scattering fragments everywhere. I dipped the mop in the glass shards and went after my uncle again, beating his family until they were cowering and running for their lives. My mom was on the verge of tears. Stop it, Zoe. Stop it right now. Only after I watched them drive away did I finally drop the mop. I took my mom's hand and shot a meaningful look at my dad. Mom, Dad, I have something to tell you. Zoe, where did you learn all this? Why have you suddenly changed like this? My dad's face was etched with pain. I closed the study door, glanced around, and then pulled out my own phone. Dad, I want to show you something. I had taken pictures of Carol and Leo's chat logs, as well as the photos and videos from his phone. Seeing the videos of Leo humiliating me, my mom trembled with rage. We welcomed him into our home, treated him so well. How could he? How could he do this to you? My dad's eyes were also bloodshot as he stared at the phone screen. After a moment, he looked up sharply, grabbing my shoulder with a hand that trembled. His voice was hoarse. Zoe, you can understand what they're saying? You're better? Are you better? My dad looked at me so carefully, his eyes filled with a desperate, unbelievable hope. I couldn't hold back any longer. I threw my arms around his neck and burst into tears. Dad, I'm better. I'm not a dummy anymore. I'm all better. The three of us clung to each other, sobbing. My parents fired off a series of questions, and when it finally sank in that I was no longer disabled, my mom started crying all over again. The heavens have eyes. All those years of praying weren't for nothing. Once our emotions had settled, my dad began to lay out a plan. He hired someone to steal Leo's and Carol's phones and computers and destroy all the photos. Then, he announced to the public that I had fallen gravely ill, and that the engagement was postponed. Leo, naturally, was worried and came to visit several times. Each time he showed up, I would pretend to have a violent episode, pulling his hair, scratching his face, and spraying chili oil in his eyes. Leo was on the verge of a breakdown. Zoe Shin, what the hell are you doing? My dad would put on a guilt-ridden face. Zoe just suddenly became like this. The doctors say her condition won't get better anytime soon. Leo, perhaps it's best we call off the engagement. There was no way Leo would let his meal ticket fly away. He repeatedly swore that he wouldn't leave me, no matter what I became. My dad was deeply moved. Zoe is very emotionally unstable right now. I'll have to entrust her to your care. He assigned 2 bodyguards to me, supposedly to control my episodes, but actually to help me beat up Leo. The moment my dad left, I would lunge at Leo, and the 2 bodyguards would hold him down while pretending to restrain me. Miss, stop. Please stop hitting him. Leo was beaten into submission, and didn't dare show his face at our house for a long time. This finally gave me the time to buckle down, and catch up on all the lessons I had missed. Because I had repeated the lessons so many times before, my body had muscle memory. My dad hired the best tutors, and I progressed at an incredible pace, quickly mastering the fundamentals. While I was busy studying, my uncle's family was going insane. Carol came to see me twice and was chased away both times. Furious, she called Leo and berated him. You useless piece of trash. You should have slept with her before she went crazy. Now look at this mess. What are we supposed to do? Useless. You're so fucking useless. With my current instability, the plan to get the fortune through marriage was clearly off the table. My uncle's family put their heads together and came up with a new scheme. Recently, a rumor started circulating at the company that my dad was planning to make me the new CEO. The rumor grew, and the media even reported on it. Thanks to my fabricated resume and public persona, the company's stock price even rose for a few days, and the board of directors was pleased. At the company's annual gala, the host asked my dad about it in front of everyone. "Mr. Chairman, will Miss Shin really be joining the company next year?" My dad just smiled noncommittally and didn't deny it. "We'll see." This was the moment my uncle was waiting for. He immediately stood up, strode forward, and snatched the microphone from the host. "Brother, you could fool everyone before, and I let it slide. But I helped you build this company from the ground up, and I can't just stand by and watch you drive it into the ground." He took a deep breath and pointed at me. A spotlight followed, landing on me. "Zoe Shun is intellectually disabled. A dummy. The fancy school, the artist persona. It was all a lie my brother created to deceive you." Under the bright lights, I sat quietly in an elegant black evening gown, my long hair draped over my shoulders. I had sharp features, high cheekbones, and a cool, aloof demeanor. Thanks to my looks, people had only ever called me cold. Over the years, no one ever suspected my intelligence. As soon as my uncle finished, the hall erupted in chaos. The financial journalists he had planted began excitedly aiming their cameras at me. Disabled? Didn't Zoe Shin graduate from a top university? Yeah, with a master's degree. How can a disabled person get a master's? And she doesn't look like it at all. Amid the uproar, my uncle smugly pulled a piece of paper from his briefcase. I have proof. It was my childhood medical record, which clearly stated, "Zoe Shen, patient with intellectual disability." My uncle sighed dramatically. For the sake of his and his wife's pride, and for the company's reputation, my brother has been hiding this. I understand. But to let Zoe Shen lead the company now? That's just absurd. I can no longer allow this ridiculous sham to continue. The cameras panned to the audience, and Leo stood up. I dated Zoe Shen for a while. Her mental age is truly that of a 7 or 8-year-old. Almost everyone at the company knew Leo and I were together. With him confirming it, people were suddenly 80% convinced. My uncle scoffed and looked at my dad. "Do you have anything else to say?" I sighed and walked onto the stage, holding the hem of my dress. Whether I'm disabled or not doesn't need to be proven by others, does it? Carol sneered. "My, you're putting on a good act today. Have you forgotten all about your little tantrum a few days ago? You can play the violin, can't you? And the piano." Carol pointed to the piano in the corner of the stage. "All those certificates are fake. If you want to prove yourself, play something." The camera flashes were relentless. Under everyone's gaze, I walked step by step toward the stage, sat down at the piano bench, and raised my hands into position. Carol rolled her eyes. "You've got the posture down, I'll give you that. That's probably all you." Before she could finish, a beautiful melody flowed from my fingertips. Carol froze, her body rigid with disbelief as she stared at me. The faces of my uncle's family were grim. My uncle gripped the microphone, refusing to give up. "You've been practicing for over a decade. That's probably the only song you know, right?" The moment he said it, I switched to another piece. After playing several songs in a row, I stood up and took the microphone from the host. "How else would you like me to prove it? Should I recite my master's thesis? Or maybe we can have a battle of wits. Vice President Shin, even if you have a problem with me, you can't joke about the company's reputation and dignity in front of all these media friends." The board members looked furious, glaring daggers at my uncle. "Get off the stage, you embarrassing fool." A few security guards came up and dragged my uncle off the stage. Carol was still shouting desperately. "It's impossible. She's a dummy. She's disabled. She ate my dad's medicine when she was a kid. Her brain was damaged. She's faking all of this." My uncle's face went pale. "Carol, shut up." But it was too late. Everyone had heard what she said, and it had all been recorded. My dad's face was ashen. After this event, we'll see you at the police station. After the farcical drama ended, the board fired my uncle and his family from the company. At the police station, my uncle insisted it was just a slip of the tongue from Carol. Besides, so many years had passed that there was no evidence, and the law couldn't touch them. But their lives were far from easy. The news spread online, and Carol's family was viciously doxxed and cyberbullied, forcing them into hiding. Later, my dad set a few traps for my uncle's business ventures, and he lost his entire fortune. The family moved to the countryside, and we never saw them again. Leo, on the other hand, I saw all the time, because he had become incredibly famous. My daughter was a perfectly fine, innocent girl when she got with him. She got pregnant with his child, and suddenly she's a dummy? Who knows if his seed is poisoned or something, rotting my daughter's brain. Now his family refuses to take responsibility. I'll fight them with my last breath. I'll never let them get away with this. Tina's mother sat under a banner outside Leo's apartment building, wailing for the cameras. Tina, with a vacant expression, cradled her stomach and giggled foolishly at anyone who passed by. Hee, I'm pregnant. Leo said my baby will inherit the Shen family fortune. He's destined to be a young master. The neighbors pointed and whispered. Good grief, I've never heard of such a thing. Getting pregnant can make you lose your mind. I know, right? Wow, having kids is so risky. Mom, stop telling me to find a boyfriend. A TV mediator brought Tina's family to knock on Leo's door. Leo's parents hid inside, refusing to come out, as the mediator pleaded patiently. Whatever the issue is, let's just sit down and talk it through. We have to resolve this somehow. Tina's brother kicked the door furiously, the veins in his neck bulging. You bastard, Lou. Don't think you can get away with hiding like a coward. You did this to my sister. You dare keep hiding? You think I don't know how much shit you stole from the Shen family? I was the one who helped you sell that watch. You want me to tell the media everything? Crash. The door flew open. Leo stood there, scruffy with a beard, his eyes bloodshot, dressed in messy pajamas. Come in and talk. Tina rushed to hug him. Leo. He shoved her away impatiently. Get lost, you stupid idiot. You dare hit my sister. Tina's brother grabbed Leo by the hair, dragged him to the ground, and started beating him. The two of them devolved into a tangled, brawling mess. The TV cut to a commercial. I clicked the remote, feeling like I hadn't gotten enough. The saga of Leo and Tina's families had been featured on our local show, The Mediator, for 3 or 4 episodes now. It was like a soap opera, and the ratings were through the roof. I savored every minute of it. My mom urged me impatiently from the side. Stop watching that. The weather is beautiful today. I booked an equestrian lesson for you this afternoon. I stretched and stood up. Outside the window, the sky was clear and the sun was bright. The weather was great, and so was my life. The end.